Hi, this is Ana Marie N. Alabastro, and this is Baby Pilar M. Antonio, and we are going to report the lesson 2 of the contemporary world. Stay tuned! The globalization of world economics. But first, what is globalization? Globalization refers to the process of movement of people and goods around the world. The world is becoming interconnected and interdependent with each other. But how does globalization affect the world of economics? Globalization is like a big change in how the world works. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, says it's all about people coming up with new ideas and better technology to support the demands of the people. They also say that the amount of stuff, like things we buy and services we use, that different countries trade with each other has gone up a lot. In 1980, it was 42.1% of all the money the world makes. That's called the GDP, or the gross domestic product. But by 2007, it was 62.1%. So more things are being bought and sold between countries. This means that the people and companies are investing money in different places all around the world, and they're doing it faster. The foreign direct investment, or the FDI, is when money from one country goes into another country's businesses. In 1982, the United Nations Conference of Trade and Development, or the UNCTAD, says this was around $57 billion. But by 2015, this had gone way up to $1.75 trillion. So lots of money is being put into businesses in different countries. And in simpler terms, globalization in the world of economics is about the world becoming more connected through trade and investments. People and businesses are buying and selling things across borders, and they're investing money in businesses all over the world, which has increased a lot over the years, making the world more interconnected economically.
Trading has been happening even when the most advanced transformation like airplane and bullet trades had existed. So what do you think did the people from the back use? They used the oldest known international trade route called Silk Road. Silk Road is the network of pathways that span China to Middle East and Europe. Traders used the Silk Road regularly in 130 BCE. Han Desnati opened trade to the west until 1453 BCE when the Ottoman Empire closed it. The Silk Road was international, though it was not truly global because it had no ocean roads. So other countries and continents across the ocean did not have a chance to partake in this historical road. According to historians Dennis O. Flynn, Arturo Giraldes, the age of globalization began when all important populated continents began to exchange products continuously both with each other directly and indirectly via other continents and in values sufficient to generate crucial impacts on all trading partners. It means to say that globalization in the world of economics happened when important populated continents began to have an exchange of products that are beneficial to both countries. Both keep on investing with the world trade to have an equal opportunity as the others to fill the gap that they lack.
The Philippines also had its historical event, which had a profound impact in our relationship to the world. This is the galleon trade, also known as the Manila-Acapulco trade, which happened during the late 16th century to the early 19th century. It serves as a vital link between the Americas and Asia, facilitating the exchange of Mexican silver for Asian luxury goods and fostering cultural exchange between East and West. The galleon trade was significant for the Philippines in terms of economic prosperity, cultural exchange, and shaping the country's history and identity. One of the reasons why age of exploration o panahon ng paggalugad has happened is because of mercantilism ideology. So what is mercantilism? The countries primarily in Europe competed with one another to sell more goods as a means to boost their country's income, called monetary reserves. So the countries in Europe like Germany, France, United Kingdom competed against each other by selling more goods, but they lacked the resources, so they started the age of exploration, which they have found the lands of Asia through invasion and colonization. In the globalization of the world of economics, there used to be a system called the gold standard. In here, if one country had more gold, its money would be worth more compared to another country's money with less gold. It was like a rule book for how countries should decide the value of their money. But this system didn't last long when they ran out of gold during the World War I and during the Great Depression, which caused a lot of economic problems. In simpler terms, the gold standard was like a system where countries agreed to use gold to decide how much their money was worth. The start of Bretton Woods system. Barry H. Green, an economic historian, believes that the United States started recovering economically when it stopped using the gold standard. During World War II, other major industrialized countries also abandoned the gold standard. Flat currencies are those whose value is based on their exchange rates with other currencies. After both world wars, world leaders wanted to establish a global economic system to maintain global peace and prevent the economic disaster of the early 20th century from happening again and affecting international relationships. This led to the creation of the Bretton Woods system, which was proposed and established during the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference held in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in July 1944. John Maynard Keynes from the UK and Harry Dexter White are two of the individuals who played key roles in shaping the agreements and principles of the Bretton Woods system. John Maynard Keynes, a British economist, believed that the economic crisis occurred not when a country does not have enough money, but when money is not being spent and not moving. Global Keynesianism is a system of the active role of governments in managing spending serve as the anchor. So he proposed the two financial institutions, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development or the IBRD or World Bank, to be responsible for funding post-war reconstruction projects, while the International Monetary Fund or the IMF, which was to be the global lender of last resort to prevent individual countries from spiraling into credit crisis. After the Bretton Woods system was established, various countries also committed themselves to further global economic integration through the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade or the GATT in 1947. Its main purpose was to reduce streams and other hindrances to free trade. Tariffs are taxes that were imposed by the government to the imported and exported products to the country. During the mid-1940s to the early 1970s, many governments spent a lot of money in their economies to help people buy more things and boost demand for products. This was called Global Keynesianism, and it was believed to be essential for economic growth. However, in the early 1970s, there was a big problem when the oil prices spiked due to an embargo imposed by Arab oil exporting countries. This affected Western economies heavily. Also, the Bretton Woods system, which tied the US dollar to gold, fell apart. This period saw the stagflation, which means both slow economic growth or stagnant and high inflation happening at the same time, inflation, making it a tough economic situation. This led for the other economists to argue, such as Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman. They argued that the government intervention in economies distort the proper functioning of the market. Hayek and Friedman played significant roles in shaping neoliberal economic thought. or neoliberalism, a new form of economic thinking, and became the codified strategy of U.S. Treasury Department, World Bank, and IMF. The World Trade Organization, or the WTO, is the replacement for the GATT to continue the tariff reduction. The Washington Consensus is held in 1989 in Washington, D.C. It is a set of economic policy recommendations that emerged in the 1980s and early 1990s. It is often associated with the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, and the World Bank. These are the 10 recommended policy reforms of the Washington Consensus. For the overview, these are the main differences between Bretton Woods system and the Washington Consensus.
U.S. President Ronald Reagan and British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher justified the reduction in government spending by comparing national economies to household. Thatcher promoted an image of her mother who reigned in overspending to reduce the national debt. The problem with this analogy is that government are not households.
Thatcher's household analogy serves as an idea to convey that governments, like households, should manage their finances prudently and avoid excessive debt. However, it's important to note that the comparison between government and households is an oversimplification of the complexities of government finances, as governments have unique responsibilities and tools at their disposal, such as monetary policy and the ability to issue currency. During the post-communist Russia, the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, assumed that Washington Consensus would free industries from corrupt bureaucrats. But just like any other economic reforms, this practice has entrenched an oligarchy. When we say oligarchy, a small group of people is controlling a country, organization, or an institution that still dominates the Russian economy to this very day.